All right. So hi. By the way, I'm Chris. I'm a co-founder of FGL, which is a company that is creating this story hooked platform. So this is keep in mind that this is kind of like the early version. We have a lot in store. And my headset just turned off. So yeah, so we have a lot in store for this. So keep in mind that anything you see here most likely will change. But I just want to kind of show um, where we're going with this and get any feedback if you have ideas on ways we can improve it or things that we can, just ideas that you might have. So firstly, so here on the left side, this is kind of just hard coded in. It's not real. That's not my picture. Uh, but obviously you'll have your own account and be able to change your settings. You'll have access to your stories where this is. We also hope to have a situation where you can be paid for your stories, so we can do revenue share through ads and in-app purchases and kind of revenue things that we're going to be releasing. Authors and writers will be able to share in that if they create stories. So that's kind of a cool thing that we'll be doing. At first, we won't have that, but that's something that, as the audience grows and as we build this out, you'll get access to. So here we go. So I have two stories. This is actually one that I have very close to being released. I'm still waiting on some of the art, so you'll see that. So that's exciting. But then I created this example story where you can just I can kind of show off some of the things here. So uh, I'll go in here and I'll edit the novel. I'll get into this in a second, but to set this up, I had already set in the properties. I uploaded a cover. I created a title, a short synopsis. Obviously, if you were creating something, you'd be filling this out. You'd pick the tags, like what kind of story is it, romance, comedy, adventure, etc., etc., and then you would save it. Oops, and then we have an issue. Um, so anyway, so I'll just cancel all that because that's already all created. So this is really the cool part. This is the editor that we're thinking is going to make it really easy to create stories. Now remember, these are kind of graphical stories. Um, you might have used apps before like this where there's basically there's a background and characters that kind of pop up here and there with expressions, and the story unfolds through dialogue and through text that as you tap you kind of read along. That's really what we're recreating, but making it really easy. So what you do is you actually just drag in these blocks here. So for example, I'll drag in the background block, and now I can choose what background I want. Now I only uploaded two images here, but you would be able to choose from any number of images to set your scene. So I'm going to pick a dark alley. We'll start with that. We'll also have different ways to like fade in or out and so forth, but right now we'll just keep it as default. You then can bring in characters. Now, what happens is when you drag them in here, nothing's really going to happen until I hook it on to the story. So this is your storyline. Basically, the blocks going down are your story. So here I've got a character talking after that character, etc. So each frame of the story will be one of these blocks. So what I can do is I can have a character. I can pick this guy. I could say, how's it going? And then I can have her reply. It's going great. They're awfully cheery for being in a dark alley, but to each their own. And then he can apply like to here. I love dark alleys. And then you can even bring in blocks that are narration. So I can bring this in and say, you know, everyone was happy. Uh, so here we have, again, very simple. So we have a background, a character. Oh, and we can also pick other options here. So obviously the dialogue text is what they're saying. Then we can pick their expression. We can say this guy's happy. She can be happy. Um, and then we can and obviously I've only picked three expressions here, but you would have more than this. There'd be like happy, sad, mad, surprised. Basic ones like that. So we'll leave it like this. We'll say they're happy, and let's make him sad just because, to show it off. Um, and then since he's on the left, we'll have her appear from the right, and then he'll be on the left again. So here we have a story. So we have a very basic story. We start in an alley, we have some dialogue, and then some narration, and then the chat, and then it will end. So what we do is we'll save it. So now if I were to leave and come back, this would be still here. So now my story is saved. You can also create other chapters. This is chapter 1. I could say, okay, now chapter 2, and so forth. But what I'll do is I'll just play. I don't know if this is going to come through on the recording. We'll see if I push play here. Let's see if I go here. I don't know. You can't see it. So what will happen once you have access to this is a little player comes up. And I'll see if maybe on the next one, the real stream, if I can get this to show. But it looks basically like the reader will look, and you can click through and see each character. Every time you click, it'll go to the next character saying their line. Then it'll get to chapter end, and it's the end. So it's really kind of a really easy way to create a story. So you can kind of, come back in here later and say, okay, now I want to create, more, and I'll drag this person down. And you can add characters. Right now I only have 2, but you could have more characters and pick those, and they can interact. And it really makes it easy too. Like if you want to add to the middle of a story, I could take this out and say, oh, I want some narration here, and put it back together, and say, whatever, it was dark. And so there you go. And then if you, basic things, if you accidentally drag something in, you can drag it here to the trash. And I can save again, and we're all good. So that's basically it. It's very simple. We're, like I said, where you have a lot planned to add to this. There might be more options per character. There might be more blocks that we'll think of to add. Eventually, over here, what's kind of a cool feature that's in the works, it'll be a little bit down the line, but I think it's a key part of what we're trying to build. Right now, it's called plots, but we might change the terminology of that. This will be the branching feature. So basically, what will happen is if you have a character here, and you might want a choice, so we might have a choice box over here, that you'll drag in, and you can write 2 different choices in that, say that you're happy or say that you're sad or whatever it is you want, and each of those branch into a different plot line. So then that's where you'll create over here different plots, and you'll be able to branch the story off, and it's kind of a choose your own story, and so people can do that. So that's kind of another key part. Something else that we'll be adding down the line is the ability to customize your own avatar. So as the writer, you'll be able to pull in kind of a character that you'll be able to pick as custom. So it may have a default character in your editor, but once the user comes in, they actually will be able to use their own character, so they can make them, look however they want, dress however they want. Um, Obviously, within your story, you might set some restrictions, but other than that, the actual end user, the reader, will be able to. So if you're listening and you're a reader and interested in that, that's a key part of what we'll be doing. So the stories that you'll be reading, you'll be able to have your own avatar. And really we hope to maybe collect items and clothing and be able to change your wardrobe and whatnot, and then be able to take that character into these stories and really feel a part of it because it's a character that you built. So that's something that we're going to make as well. So the people who are writing the story will be able to take advantage of that, so that when they bring that person in here in the story, maybe it's not this particular character. Once the person reads it, it'll be your character. So that's kind of another cool thing that we're working on. So yeah, so since there's only a couple people here, I would ask questions, but maybe I'll go back into Discord, and if you watched, you can let me know what you thought, and I'll try to do the stream again and maybe fine tune a little bit more and get that one window working that I couldn't get working. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks everybody.